What sounds like a dream job but actually sucks? I worked as a private investigator. It was what you picture, only maybe 1% of the time. The rest of the time it was just sitting there and waiting for something to happen. It was super boring. That guy in the neck brace. Stare at that neck brace for 6 weeks and let me know if it comes off. Former private, I hear. From my personal experience, it was 80% cheating spouses, 10% fraud, and then 10% miscellaneous. I left the game after I found the dead body of someone whose wife was leaving him. 6/10 would maybe do it again, if the money was right, and I didn't have to stumble upon another dead body. I thought working in a video game store would be awesome. It was a store similar to GameStop. We also dealt with retro consoles and games, going all the back to the Atari 2600. I imagined it as being able to finally share all my useless video game knowledge with people, play video games in my downtime, and helping customers. Instead, people treated us like a pawn shop and would get mad when I wouldn't give them $50 for a PS2 basketball game no one has cared about since 2003. Also, the store owner only wanted attractive young girls working the store in order to bring in customers, and I happened to be a 26-year-old chubby guy. Bouncer security at the topless pools in Vegas hotels. You spend all day running around the pool yelling at douches to stop taking pictures. Also, a lot of topless pools in Vegas equals 90% portly European men. Video game tester. My old roommate was one for decades and he hooked me up with a part-time gig when they were hiring. Imagine the most annoying, stupid, trivial bullshit parts of video games that make you want to rage quit. Fuck with only that, in an unfinished setting with tons of unrendered shit for 8 hours a day. Exactly, many people forget that as a video game tester you don't just get to play the fun parts of the game like it's a hobby. When it's your job, you need to spend all your time trying every way you can to break the game so you can find out the problems before it goes to market. Personally, if I had to work in games, I'd rather work in the programming and creative end. Being a veterinarian. I don't know if it sounds like a dream job, but a bunch of people I meet say they always wanted to be one. Oh, you like animals? Then have some, but do something else for a job. Unless you also like the idea of killing a lot of them. I never got used to it. Being a roadie for a popular band. Everyone thinks you just get to hang out with the artists all day and travel the world. But you work long days and are constantly either on a bus or a plane. You don't get the time to really visit the cities you are in because you are in the venue working, and the second the show is done and you get everything struck, then you are right back onto the bus or in a van on the way to the airport. Wedding planner. Someone is always pissed at you, even if the bride and groom are chill. There's a mother, maid of honor, or vendor unhappy. And frankly, at the end of the day, you want the client to feel they've been treated fairly. But you really need the vendor to leave happy. You can't afford to alienate someone in the industry, especially in a smaller town. This is actually why full-service planning is better than day of for the planner. It's easier to avoid misunderstandings when you're involved in contract negotiations from the get-go. Working at a dog kennel. Thought it'd be fun to play with 40 dogs. I mean, it was, but I spent most of my time cleaning dookie and getting pissed on. Shooting instructor or gun store manager, assuming you're into guns. I did both and got tired of dealing with idiots. As a shooting instructor, I dealt with many people that considered themselves experts even though they had no reason to, and so often they were barely more than novice when it came to shooting ability or gun safety. As a gun store manager, I dealt with same expert mentality. So many people think that because they own guns, they are automatically an expert. I'm from the UK, so I've no access to guns. However, I've played the Time Crisis arcade video game, so therefore I'm an expert. Being a high-powered attorney at a big law firm. Yes, you make 120 to 200K, but most of them are actively drinking themselves to death due to stress, horrible working conditions and hours, and having no work balance. Edit. Yes. Some big law firm lawyers do make 200 to 400K if they can survive this shit show for more than 3-5 years. Most don't. I'm an attorney and no amount of money in the world would convince me to go through the big law thing. I'm a government attorney instead. So basically the total opposite situation. Low stress, great hours, happy coworkers, the work-life balance other people would die for. I don't get paid much at all, but being able to actually enjoy my life and have friends and hobbies is worth it to me. Working on a winery, vineyard, highly smelly, you get to see all the shit other than grapes that go into the press and therefore into the wine. The grape bins are a nesting ground for black widows, etc. People always think it sounds glamorous when I tell them where I used to work. Couldn't be more the opposite. Animal trainer. People think you're playing with dogs, horses, dolphins, tigers, what have you all day. But hands-on work is the smallest part of the job. The rest of the time you're cleaning enclosures, preparing meals, and filling out paperwork. You do this the 24th of July 365 in the middle of summer and the dead of winter, all weather conditions, and the training sessions, endless repetition. Nursing. People who say I want to be a petty nurse have no clue what it is like to work with the kids' asshole parents. Acting isn't great, especially if you're a kid and especially if you're a musical theater kid, teen. There is so much pressure and pushing around, and if you haven't popped out the womb dancing, singing and acting, trained in ballet, tap, jazz, perfect vibrato and diction and emotion, you are likely going to be overlooked every time. Night watchman at the city cemetery. Vandals do damage or try to enter the mausoleums. There's no rest, even for the dead. Couldn't you plant little wireless speakers around the place and fuck with the vandals with a microphone? Like get some creepy voice-changing software and say things like your souls will be mine. Or dress up as the Grim Reaper and stand in the shadows. Fuck, that would be hilarious. Being a teacher. Working with kids and teaching the future is a dream. Plus you get summers off. The kids don't listen, parents hate you, overworked, underpaid, and overstress. I think being a famous actor, musician, athlete would actually be really shitty for most people. Celebrities live lives of constant intrusion, and so many of them are fucking depressed for one reason or another. Obviously, that's not everyone, but fame probably isn't as great as it's worked up to be. President of the United States of America. It's extremely stressful. You have almost no privacy. Your every move is criticized, down to what you eat at diners or in your own home. As Commander-in-Chief of the military, you are personally responsible for sending soldiers to their deaths and weighing those deaths against the nation's foreign policy goals and domestic safety. You're often forced to make decisions where every outcome has some negative consequence for large groups of people. Your ability to get things done are limited by the other branches of government, as well as the entrenched interests of Washington, D.C. And in no matter what party you belong to, there's an entire cable news network dedicated to rallying the population against you 24 hours a day. There's a reason why so many presidents age so quickly in the White House, and why so many of them expressed relief at leaving the job. Filmmaking is very difficult to pull off. You have to manage hundreds of people on set and in post. Just think about the fact that all movies are shot extremely out of order, and you will realize the nightmare it is to imagine a 10-sec take working into a narrative of 120 minutes. But for me, the love of telling a visual story trumps the hard work at it. Spelling. Penetration tester. Ethical hacker. Used to do that for a living and frankly hated it. I discovered after a couple of years that it just wasn't my thing. For me, it was travel for work. I installed radar systems on offshore oil rigs around the world, which meant I couldn't make plans with people. Plans I did make were at risk of being cancelled in case of client emergency. Plus, I'm staying miles offshore on a boat, so you don't get to check out the local areas. You get back to shore in time to catch the next plane for the next job. I got super depressed and lonely after a few years in it. I missed my GF and my dog. Everyone thinks it sounds amazing, but it sucked hard. I did something similar, but it was installing software at military facility all around the world for different government. The trouble with this is that these places are middle of nowhere, underground, desolated places, and far from any normal civilization. Definitely not fun when damn thing's installation does not work. Then after work, no place to really relax. I used to model, and the way people talk about it makes it seem like this amazing and easy job. It really wasn't though. The other models could be super competitive, so you couldn't really make friends. Everything was always a big rush and something would always go wrong. It took an insane amount of strength and endurance to get through those photo shoots and fashion shows. You couldn't eat what you wanted, couldn't go out and party. Anytime you weren't working, you were still working, cause 80% of it is networking, so you can keep getting gigs. I loved it, but it was also one of the shittiest jobs I've ever worked. Scientist. You don't get to shout eureka on daily, weekly, or even yearly basis. Most things you do don't actually work. You can spend months on an experiment to have it fail, and even when something does work, it's likely going to just contradict all the other stuff you've done. If by some miracle something comes together after countless hours of banging your head against a brick wall, when you try to publish your findings, some arsehole reviewer will want you to replicate your work, just using expensive lasers that your lab can't afford. But somehow, I love it. Being a kept man. When I married my wife, I did not have to work, and we were moving around a lot, so I spent a lot of time on employee. She's a structural engineer and makes a ton of money, so people would joke all the time about how I was living the dream. Meanwhile, I was so stressed out that I started to have panic attacks for the first time in my life. I didn't even realize what they were, and had to get told. Turns out, I don't function very well as a house husband. She still makes twice the money I do, but I am much happier now that I am once again contributing financially. Twitch streaming. At first, yeah, I get to play video games and stay inside, but at least for me, I couldn't do it. What if you don't feel like playing that day? You still need to pay rent and stuff, and you're glued to your game for entire days at a time. Porn. Sex is great on my own time and energy. And what do I search on Pornhub to find you? Clubhouse attendant for professional baseball teams. You are every player's personal slave, have to clean their cleats at night's end, and scrub out all the stained pants. Oh yeah, you never think about that when someone dives head first getting all dirty. I do. I think of it every time someone slides. Thanks for watching. Share your stories in the comments.